Good morning. It's let's see, 3:33 a.m. It's December 24th. Yeah, it says in the Word, God knows the day and the hour. It talks about the very elect. This Word talks about the very elect not being fooled. When I wake up at 3:30 in the morning and I can't go back to sleep, and I've been wanting to make this video. I've discovered some lies. I discovered a lie I want to talk about right now. But I'm looking at Matthew 24 here. When you get to verse 27, it says, "But as of the days of Noah were, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be." And in this chapter leading up to that, it's like, except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Further down it says, "For there shall rise false Christ and false prophets, and they shall show great signs and wonders." That's important. And so much that if it were possible, they should deceive the very elect. Verse 31, "And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other." Yeah. So, I woke up thinking about the days of Noah, because I've been reading in Genesis. I think I'm going to be done here. I'm not going to need to put a marker there. So I'm going to go to Genesis here. I read the first 9 chapters. I listened to them on audiobook, and Jehovah's put it on my heart to not only has he called me to be a watchman. We'll go over Ezekiel 3 probably. Rebuke my neighbors so their blood's not on my hand. He's wanted me to be able to see these things for myself and prove them for myself and go through the Word. He's encouraged me to be a Berean. Look at it for myself. But I started talking to him about you, and I'm not surprised I'm awake at 3:30. I've been wanting to ask you. I thought it was pretty clever. What's in your oven? I don't know if you're going to eat a ham today or tomorrow, but it's highly likely. I drive down Main Street in my town, and people are in and out all the shops. On the weekend when I'm not in this truck, they're shopping. They're going crazy right now. And there's Christmas trees that are 15 foot tall, and I got this responsibility to tell the truth. And so I probably woke up an hour ago, and I was praying, and I'm like, what do we got going on here? I usually have a conversation with you and go back to sleep. And he's like, why don't you make that video? So, exposing the lie straight off. I eat clean. There's a rainbow covenant. How do I communicate to anybody that's going to come upon my channel, Jehovah's channel? So this is 10 at watch, and we eat clean. The 10 commandments, we eat clean. The 2 covenants of promise here, and Genesis 7. And the Lord said unto Noah, because we're in the days of Noah here, "Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast Okay, let's back up. And Jehovah said, of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of the beasts that are not clean by two. And it's also the fowls of the air, as we keep going. And I'm going to skip down to 5. And Noah did according to all that Jehovah commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters came upon the earth. Previous to this, he's built an ark. You don't have to go too far back. You read 6, 7, 8, and 9, and you covered the life of Noah. You have. Of the clean beasts, verse 8, and of the beasts that are not clean, and of the fowls and everything that creepeth upon the earth, they went in 2 by 2. So the lie. I went to Sunday school when I was 10. I don't know if they have the buses picking kids up anymore. I don't see them like I did when I was 10. And I remember we waited for the bus. And we'd get to the church and they'd sing this goofy little song, the animals go on 2 by 2. And I suppose they did, they walked up the ramp, and that's that. But the truth is, that's a lie. The truth is, there were herds. When you take 7 cows and 7 bulls, you have a herd. Otherwise, you kill one and eat it, and you don't have nothing. You can't reproduce. And so this responsibility was to, has to be congruent with life being preserved here. It's a big word, but consistent. This is animal husbandry. Prior to this, the synopsis, the sum of all matters is the heart of man is evil continually. I think I highlighted that. It's right in here. Yes, I did. Genesis 6, verse 5. God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Yeah, I did. And if I go back to verse 4, because I want to try to remember to read what Jude says in Jude 6. In fact, I'll just do that now. In verse 4, it says, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. So the sons of God are angels here, and they came into the daughters of men and bare children. As a result, there were giants. So this is clearly what's an abomination? Jehovah created Adam and Eve, and that's clear. He made man. He didn't do this. This is so. It's all summed up to this point, which leaves another question. So I do want to point out the rainbows in the sky now. I did not highlight. Let me go to, let's finish Noah and then we'll go to Jude. Noah built an altar unto the Lord and took every clean beast. This is chapter 8. and every clean fowl, and offer burnt offerings on the altar. One of every clean one. So he still has the herd. He still has these herds. He's off the ark here, and he's built an altar. And he sacrificed unto Jehovah one of every clean one. And it said in 21, and Jehovah smelled a sweet savor, and Jehovah said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth, neither will I again smite any more every thing living as I've done, while the earth remaineth. Seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. Okay, so, we're into 9 now. This is the last chapter, really sums everything up. And you get down to 12, and Jehovah said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you, with every living creature that is within you, for perpetual generations. And we're going to have to back up. And I want to define the clean animals have been established here regarding this rainbow, and not much is said. Let me drop back to, let me just read 9 through 5. And God blessed Noah and his sons. Jehovah has blessed them now, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, and upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. But the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, you shall not eat. And surely your blood, of your lives will I require at the hand of every beast, will I require it at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother, will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. And be fruitful and multiply, and bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. And Jehovah spake unto Noah, and said to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you. And every living creature that is with you, and of the fowl of the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you, and from all that go out of the ark to every beast. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there be any more be a flood to destroy the earth. 12. And God said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. And it shall be a token for you, covenant between me and thee. And it shall come to pass when I bring the cloud over the earth, and the bow, the rainbow, shall be seen in the cloud. I will remember my covenant which is between me and you, and every living creature of all flesh, and of the waters, and no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, and remember that everlasting covenant between Jehovah and every living creature of all flesh. And Jehovah said unto Noah, This is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh. I'm going to stop right there. clearly, Jehovah's going to require at our hand here, and he establishes, don't kill. And if you do, I'll require the blood at your hand. And don't drink blood. I'm not going to go back because it's in the first 9 chapters. You can prove to yourself the same thing I've proved by coming here. If you don't know, I will tell you briefly. I suppose I will go there to a degree. Jehovah made coats of skin right here into 3 verse 21, and Adam and Eve sinned. Also unto his wife did Jehovah God make coats of skin and clothe them. The Lord Jehovah said, Behold, man is become as one of us to know good and evil. Unless he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. So he's being banished out of the garden, and I'm establishing the first sacrifice. I think it's a good time to do that. It was a demonstration from Jehovah, and you get over into 4 verse 4. It says, and Abel also brought the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof, and Jehovah had respect unto Abel and to his offering. So Jehovah basically covered their parents, Cain and Abel's parents here, with the sacrifice, and covered them, and he established that, and Abel does the same thing, and so does Noah. Before I leave here, I do want to go to Jude, and I do want to pose a question. I've read these 9 chapters, and I have a question. Like, where is the rated R movie? We get evil continually, and it's like, for me, it's like a cliffhanger, like a teaser to a movie. I personally wouldn't call Jehovah a homicidal maniac, but I've heard skeptical people, and here I am proving for myself what it actually says. I haven't eaten abominable, meats, pork, in about 9 years. And we read 1 John. The last video on this channel was 1 John in the tree, and we established some things. Yeah, I made it a point to say in 1 John, in the first chapter, it says, if you love me, keep my commandments. And when I look at Noah, it said he kept Jehovah's commands over and over in those chapters we looked at, as I read them through. Reading here. And what I see, like a synopsis is, I see a love story starting here. I know love covers a multitude of sins from reading the Word. I didn't mark that. I believe it was in Corinthians. It may have been Corinthians 13. Nevertheless, I see Noah loved Jehovah. I see Abel loved Jehovah. You know, this family hates being saved from wrath, and you know, mentioning First John is hate. Hate in chapter 2 of First John was it resulted in stumbling and walking in darkness, and it's like I see Abel and Noah. They have the light, man, in their heart. They do. They have the light. They're walking in the light, and you know they can see clearly. You know, and now I can, and I'm sharing it with you. So now we know. There's a rainbow today in the sky when it rains, and so a covenant that was for perpetual generations is still a covenant, you know, eating clean. And so I'm going to read Jude. You get down to verse 6, and it says, there's only one chapter in Jude. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains unto the darkness, unto the judgment of the great day. And then you get to verse 14, and it says, and Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, behold, Jehovah cometh with 10,000 of his saints. I'm not going to go into the context of what's going on there. Jude is referring to Genesis 6. The sons of God, they saw the daughters of men, and they bore giants. And that's how I drew the conclusion, and that's why I came here. That's why I couldn't sleep. Like Genesis is, for me, it's enough to eat clean, but it's left me with the question. Who took out Enoch from the Bible? And when I read it myself, it tells me, hey, you want to continue proving what's going on in the days of Noah. I have to go there and check it out. What I do know is the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, you know, within like 300 years, it's the work of the enemy. It's darkness. It's that spirit of Antichrist that was in the hearts of these men, you know. Look what's in the heart of Cain, you know, and you go back and read that. Beginning of Genesis, it said his countenance fell. We've read John. It says chapter 2, 1 John chapter 2. Darkness is in hearts. People that hate Jehovah. So that's clear to me. I've established it with you because Jude mentions Enoch, and I go, okay, where's the book of Enoch? And so going forward on this channel, I'm going to want to look into that. I'm going to want to. I reached out to a brother, and yeah, I'd like to ask him who he's read Enoch. describe what was going on. I've looked into it a little bit, and I think it's going to cover for us. I know it's got cannibalism. Maybe help us understand the covenant that's being established here. So I got questions. So that's the bait. That's where the channel's going. So I think I'm awake at now it's 3:59. It's almost 4 in the morning. I'm just gonna keep going here. So yeah, this rainbow covenant, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep clean. So it being the 24th, pork. What's in your oven? That's what I wanted to ask. What's in your oven? Or what's thawing out in the sink? I suppose some people are going to cook Christmas ham today or tomorrow, and that's what woke me up. I was like, yesterday, I shared with a friend. I'm going to know him, done business. And I shared some truths with him, and he listened, but he said he hoped I'd find some joy in these holiday seasons as a rebuttal. I'm like, okay. He didn't listen. That same chapter I started out with, I'm not going to go there and tell you it says people will fall away offended at the truth. Matthew 24. It's down around 10. They'll fall away offended. They'll betray you. They'll hate you. They'll give you up to the magistrate. It's the times that we're in. That's what it's talking about. I don't think he liked hearing the truth. I think to listen to the things I've shared with this individual and care about it. I think I've established that his blood's not on my hand. He's a believer, and I shared with him. And yeah, what do you do when people aren't picking up what you're putting down? But here I wake up and I remember the other guy yesterday. I gave him one of our cards from Straight as the Gate. As a matter of fact, my wallet's right here. Give these out. I don't know if you can see that. Straight as the Gate is spelled S-T-R-A-I-T. It doesn't have a G-H. And it says the church has lied to you. I asked Jehovah what he wanted to say to you, and a lot of stuff came up, and I made a video yesterday. I was driving, and it just wasn't acceptable. I made a mathematical error, and since this guy told me season greetings yesterday, I'm like, we're definitely in different seasons, him and I. And I want to know how to, my father, close that gap between him and I just want to understand that there's people. And I did some math that helped me understand this. So since we read 2 Kings 17, I'm just going to flow here, try to flow and talk. It starts out with, King Shalmaneser, the Assyrian king, starts out with him taking Hoshea, the king of Israel, the 10 tribes. That's what I'm going to talk about. I'll lay out some math for you. They went into captivity right there. That was 722 BC. I was astonished when I read that. I read that on the last video, so I'm just going to say it's clear they were bound down to the tree. I suppose they still should go there and lose my train of thought. Hoshea was taken captive, though, as a king. It's called a vassal. When you're still kind of in your kingly position, but you really don't have any authority because you're under like a martial law. You've been invaded by an enemy. So the prophets say, hey, keep Jehovah's statutes, or you'll be given over to your enemies like this. And so when you get to 2 Kings, I probably should just focus and go here. Yeah, next page. Yeah. So he brought no presents. That was funny because let's see, verse 10, and they set them up images and groves in every high hill and under every green tree. So they're bowing down to a tree then as now. 12, for they served idols, wherefore the Lord has said unto them, ye shall not do this thing. 13, yet Jehovah testified against Israel and against Judah by the prophets and by all the seers, saying, turn ye from your evil ways and keep my commandments and my statutes. Verse 16, and they left all the commandments of Jehovah their God and made them molten images. So I'm going to stop there. In 2 Kings 17, please go look at the last video. They're bowing down to this tree. It says they took Shalmaneser. He did bring these presents. Therefore, the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him into prison. So he's in chains. And Jeroboam becomes king, and he does evil as well. He's the last king, and Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, king. And Jeroboam drave Israel from following Jehovah and made them sin a great sin. Verse 23, and so Israel was carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day. So I had been asking Jehovah what to say, and he says, yeah, you notice that guy told you, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and you suddenly realize that's me. He's in a different season than you. He has different beliefs than you. And so I was leaving and gave him a card, and I'll go back and we'll talk next time. Hopefully some more. I'll try to plant some seeds, called to watch. I want my hands to be clean. But I want to go to Ezekiel 4. So we're going to do some math. We're going to clarify the season. So give me a moment. Okay, Ezekiel 4. Getting right to it. The page. All right. He's laying on his side here. He's prophesying. I'm going to just read it because he's building sandcastles and I think it's comical. Ezekiel 4. Thou also, son of man, take thee a tile and lay it before thee and portray upon it the city, even Jerusalem. And lay siege against it and build a fort against it and cast a mound against it. Set the camp also against it and set battering rams against it round about. Moreover, take unto thee an iron pan and set it for a wall of iron between thee and the city, and set thy face against it, and it shall be siege, and thou shalt lay siege against it. And this shall be a sign to the house of Israel. Disclaimer, I don't know that he's using sand. He's doing something, he's creating ramparts and, an image of the city. Lie thou on the left side and lay the iniquity of the house of Israel upon it. This is the northern kingdom we're talking about. According to the number of these days that thou shalt lie upon it, thou shalt bear their iniquity. For I laid upon thee the years of their iniquity according to the number of the days, 390 days. Where's his phone? So, 390. 390 times. So where we go now? We go over here to, let's see, this isn't it. But that was something I could have read. I mentioned. This is 26. This is where we need to be. Don't do it. Maybe it's Leviticus 26. You know, when you are obedient, there's blessings. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for those blessings for the obedience. It says it's multiplied 7 times here for the punishment. The punishment's multiplied 7 times. I'm trying to remember. So it looks like I went to Leviticus. Keep my Sabbaths, my statutes. I believe this is it. I thought I had marked it. See Leviticus, punishments for disobedience. Bread and bread again. Give me a moment. And we are very close. As the land's not given their Sabbaths. Yeah, pretty sure you keep my Sabbaths. Remember, if you walk in my Sabbaths, you have your grain in your due season. Okay, then I'll also walk contrary to you, and I will punish you yet 7 times for your sins. Please forgive me. You spent this time with me. We're in Leviticus 26, and I'm definitely going to have to highlight that. I will punish you 7 times for your sins. So we take, just define for now the season that we are actually in. We've got 390. I got times 7 equals, this is a number, 2,730 that tells me that's long enough for a person to lose their identity. It's I don't know how many generations, the veil's been lifted at the time of the Gentiles. It's expired because this stuff happened in 722 before Christ. This is the total amount of the punishment Jehovah required. He multiplies 390 years. Ezekiel laid on his side for 390 days, and he built what Jehovah told him to build in front of him, and he laid there, and he built his fire, and he ate, and people passed him, and they're like, clearly seeing. And each day he laid there, it was a year. He was laying the iniquity that was laid on him, to demonstrate. So he was prophesying their sins, and then they didn't repent. So here we are, 2,730 years later, and you push minus 722 because it was before Christ. The calendar went the other way, right? And this is when the season changed. Okay, 2008. And so I'm like, Jehovah, how do I close the gap? And he said, well, for starters, I'm going to wake you up at 3 in the morning and 2, 3 in the morning. You're not going to be able to go back to sleep. And I'm going to have you get up there, and I'm going to have you tell people that time has expired for Gentiles to be, their punishment's over. I'm going to start calling them out. When you take, should have put my thumb there in Ezekiel, huh? Take Ezekiel and you read it. This, I know I can read 3, Ezekiel 3. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat thou that thou findest, eat this roll, and go speak unto the house of Israel. So I opened the mouth, and he caused me to eat the roll, and said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with the roll that I give thee. Then did I eat. It was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. Yeah, it becomes bitter in his belly, I think it's verse 17. Yeah, Son of man, I've made thee a watchman into the house of Israel. That's what I'm calling. The call is to come out of Babylon, come out of the heathen lifestyle. I'll be all right. Someone tells me Merry Christmas, but I know they're bound down to this tree, and there's people out there that just, they didn't go to school or Sunday school on the bus. They don't know anything about Jehovah. I just started to, in our group, the leader asked us a question. He's talking about, being a watchman. You have to have the burden. Do you have the burden? Ezekiel eats this scroll right here, and it's sweet going down, and but it's bitter. I didn't mark the scriptures, but we're in the time of sorrows. Tribulations upon us. It's going to happen very, very soon. The good thing about what I just told you is most people know. Prior to coming to covenant with Jehovah, I got a barrel full of beans, and I was preparing. A solar panel, and just some stuff. Been doing it for a while too. So many things you think you need to survive. I found out the truth though. They stole my crossbow, and I was thinking, what was I thinking? I'm a felon. Was I gonna run around like Daryl from The Walking Dead? Standing in my own strength, and I repented, and I found out about the watch. They call the watch, and getting in the covenant, keeping the commandments, and eating clean. Suddenly I'm selling the crossbow and getting rid of all the, any type of weapon that, a felon, you can't have a knife over 3 inches, and just, I'm not standing in my own strength because I know the truth, and it's bitter in my belly. There's people that are lost, and I know after, 2,730 days, years, I made that mistake. forgive me, many, many years, 2,730 years. There's no identity there. There's, you know. Let's go to Acts 15. I'll wrap this up. I'll keep it down to about an hour. You know, the Jerusalem Council put this in here for a reason. Let's see. I didn't look where Peter. I didn't memorize where Peter's vision was. I do know. Jerusalem Council men came in and they started telling people they needed to circumcise themselves. They were from the sect of the Pharisees, and I want to just talk about the conclusion of the matter. You know, you're talking about the apostles. It's a decade or two after Yeshua was resurrected. You know, it was a while after. Wherefore my sentence, verse 19 of chapter 15, that we not trouble them which from among the Gentiles are turned to Jehovah. You know, so Gentiles, that's what we're talking about, are going to turn to Jehovah. Write unto them that they abstain from pollution of idols, you know. Then he do a Christmas tree video, a rebuke. From fornication, from things strangled, and from blood. For Moses of old time hath in every city that them that preach him, being read in the synagogues every Sabbath day. You know, they're going to tell them to get into covenant. They're going to tell them to keep the Sabbath. I've kept 8 Sabbaths. 8. Come to straightasthegate.net, STRAIT. It's a time of refreshing. Just going to add that the covenant, 2 covenants. They're summed up in magnified by Yeshua in his walk in here. You can come learn about that and discuss more about that in detail and in the locations of it. But you know, he's Lord of the Sabbath, and it's a time of refreshing. And the Sabbath Sunday morning starts. He rises in our hearts. He does. He heals. He healed on the Sabbath because he was Lord of the Sabbath. I don't know why he didn't just turn around and ask him what he's doing. It's because I can. That's who he is. That's well established in the Word. People don't accept it. You know, I exposed the lie, the clarity that I live with, there's clean animals that you eat, you don't eat. And eating clean is a requirement. There's still a rainbow in the sky. And you come, you don't drink blood. You come out of what you're coming out of. Anything strangled. And you come to Sabbath. And you understand the invitation from the Jerusalem Council is, if I could say it like this, it's all regarding the temple. And if anybody's fully immersed in those pagan ways, I'm not talking about, we talk about on the right, people that are into the Torah and they're feasting, and these feasts aren't acceptable to Jehovah. I think something to read, ending this. They're not acceptable. And if you come to Sabbath, you're going to be refreshed. That's what I'm going to say. You come to Sabbath, you get clean. You want to eat clean. You don't want abominable meats in your temple, and you don't want any idols. And I think that's why the Jerusalem Council is like, hey, we're just teaching the Ten Commandments here. No graven images, no Christmas trees, no drinking of blood. There's life in the blood. So I've already told you, laid out the bait. You can come back to this channel, and I've asked a brother to do an interview who's thoroughly looked at, Enoch, and I want to ask him, hey, it's obviously missing from here. What was going on in those days? If I focus here on what I'm doing, I've asked you what's in your oven because Isaiah 28 says, woe to the crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim, and I found out for myself in this journey, especially in the last 2 months, 8 Sabbaths. The drunkard is actually an idiom for being full of pride, You read Isaiah 28, I'm running out of time here, so I'm just going to go to verse 8. It said, for all the tables are full of vomit and filthiness, so that there is no place clean. They have erred through wine and through strong drink and are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They are all swallowed up in wine. They are out of the way through the strong drink. They err in vision. They stumble in judgment. It's pride. When you get to where they're eating swine's flesh in this one, it's a long one. I suppose I'll just have to read it real fast. So we said, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower, that's us, which are on the head of the fat valleys, of them that are overcome with wine. Behold, Jehovah hath a mighty and strong one, which is a tempest of hail and destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. The crown of pride and the drunkards of Ephraim shall be trodden underfoot. And the glorious beauties which on the head of the fat valley shall be a fading flower, and the hasty fruit for the summer, which when he looketh upon it, seeth walled a jet in his hand, he eateth it up. In that day shall the Lord of hosts be for a crown of glory and a diadem of beauty on the residue of his people, for a spirit of judgment, and for him that sitteth in judgment, strength to them that turneth the battle to the gate. That's what we're doing right now. They also have erred through wine, strong drink, we read that. Who shall teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breasts. You got to get you this milk, For precept upon precept, and precept upon precept, and line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people to whom he has said, this is the rest, whether you may cause the weary to rest. Coming to Sabbath. This is the refreshing that you would not hear. The word of Jehovah was upon the precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line. Here there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and taken. It's not a good idea to not listen. Wherefore hear the word of Jehovah, ye scornful men that rule this people which is in Jerusalem, because ye have said, we've made a covenant with death and with hell, and we are at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, shall not come unto us, for we have made lies of our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves. Therefore saith Jehovah God, behold, I lay in Zion a foundation, a tried stone, a precious stone, a sure foundation, that he that believeth shall not make haste. All right, we'll slow down. Wondered if I missed something. I'm running out of time. I want to end this in an hour. You know, what I have read to you, though, is come and be refreshed. This is a rest where you cause the weary to rest. This is why I'm making this video. Call you out. After 2,730 years, I suppose the people with no identity is not aware that that's the season we're actually in. The veil has been lifted. The punishment's over. These people are being called out all over the world because they were given over. They didn't repent, and there's people that are not going to repent now. They're just going to be heathen. And you know, when you read scriptures that says your tables are full of vomit and filthiness, hopefully that helps you understand. That's why I'm here right now. I'm making a rebuke video and asking you to come out from among the heathen ways. And you know, I wanted to close this. I know I don't use the name of Jesus. I know it's Baal that has set himself up in the hearts of men, made himself God, according to John 5:42 and 43. You know, yeah, it says someone will come in his own name, and him you'll receive, and it says I'll come in my Father's name, and I won't be received. And so Yeshua has not been received, and neither has the name of the Father has been removed by this council. This Constantine council removed another men as well, like 7,000 times in the name of Jehovah. So as in Isaiah 44, we've surnamed ourselves after Jehovah. We've sprung up. We're the very elect, and we're going to keep His commandments, and we're going to eat clean, and we're not going to be deceived, and we're going to tell people the truth, and they're going to be offended, and they're going to hate us, and they're still going to tell us to find some joy in the holiday season. But when someone tells me, you know, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, I want to ask you, what's in your oven? I do, and that's what I have done. What's in your oven? If you're thawing out a ham and you're going to cook it today, tomorrow, it's like vomit on the table to Jehovah. So, one last thing, every Christian you tell, it's not his birthday. You know, December 25th is Jesus' birthday. He knows my heart. And I'm gonna close with telling you one thing we know for sure is you're gonna make a ham today, and you're not gonna make a birthday cake. And I just wanted to tell you, you know, when you were 10 and you found out Santa wasn't real, you know, that's when fables were defined for you. Yet look at your actions today. You're still you're living a lie. You're following a fable. And I encourage you to come to straightasthegate.net, where we're defining the idiomatic truths of the Bible, what things actually mean, and you'll be guided to understand, and it'll be clearly defined that it's parables. Those are true. Moral truths being told through parables, and fables are, well, they try to interlace, you know, it's a false morality through characters. And, you know, people are deceived, and so, you know, show some love and be obedient to Jehovah, and you may find that it brings you clarity. Thank you.